Hari Om everyone. You don't need to listen to this because you all attended Vijay Kumarji's class and you should all know 15th chapter by now. So this is for me. I missed so many classes, so I thought this is a good opportunity for me to go back and read the entire chapter. So thank you for giving me this opportunity. I was told to pick few shlokas since we finished Bhagavad Gita 15th chapter to revise 15th chapter and say something that is a takeaway for all of us from the 15th chapter. So you might have already learned so many things, but I missed so many classes. So again, I insist on that I took the whole chapter, and Satyaji was saying, is it possible to do the whole chapter in 8 to 10 minutes? I'm not going to go into each slokas and split each word and explain you the meaning because I'm not at that level. I'm not even eligible to stand in front of Vijay Kumarji and talk about this. So I'm going to give like in cricket they recapture like the sixes and fours. I'm going to do the major ones that caught my eyes while I was reading the 15th chapter. So I don't know how many are Tamilians here, but there are a lot of Rajinikanth jokes. Just like we have Sardarji jokes, there are a lot of Rajinikanth jokes. Okay. So one of them goes like this. When Graham Bell invented the phone the first time, he already had 2 missed calls from Rajinikanth. So now we have so many messaging apps like WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, Twitter, Instagram. We have so many and the regular text messages. So how many times we pick up the phone and go through the phone just to see who has texted us, what message we have, right? Lord Sri Krishna, just like Rajinikanth, before we had all these apps, he had given us 700 messages. We never even bothered to check those messages. At least one day, if we take at least one message and read the message, it's going to transform our life. Just one is enough. We have a whole box of matchboxes. We don't use all the matchboxes to light the lamp, just one is enough. So take one message a day or at least one message in your whole lifetime and follow it. It's going to be really helpful. The last sloka in chapter 15. You can join me in chanting if you want. Iti guhyatamam shastram idamuktam maya naga etad buddhva buddhiman syat kritakrityascha bharata. So Lord Krishna says this is the most precious secret that he's going to share with us. Women are known to spread the secret, so I think Satyaji needs to take this shloka. So, what is the secret? The whole Bhagavad Gita chapter 15 is the secret. I have heard so many lectures, and whoever likes whichever chapter, they say, okay, this is the best one, you know. If they are talking about chapter 2, they say, chapter 2 is the best, you know, everything is covered in this. And if you are reading some other scripture, they say, this is the best. If you say this, if you chant this sloka, you know, you are going to go to moksha directly, have a direct ticket. So whoever says it, they say, this is the best, this is the best. But actually Krishna himself says, this is the best secret I am going to share with you. So I think this is the best to do. So what is said in this chapter? Ganapati ji already covered in last week or the previous week, he already said. This chapter talks about 4 things. Of course, God and us, this world, and how we are connected. Okay. When we define anything, you need to use something else to define it. You cannot define one object by its own name or anything. You need something else. So there are a lot of comparisons in this chapter, like the perishable and the imperishable, and then the Purusha and the Purushottama. So the comparison is one based on the another. So Purusha is compared with Purushottama. Purusha is a finite, decaying thing, whereas Purushottama is the infinite, and it cannot be compared at all with the perishable finite thing. I think it's above the finite and infinite. It's everything. the Purushottam. So the chapter starts with the famous banyan tree, Ashwatha tree. Satyaji explained it in detail. And of course Vijay Kumarji talked about it, so everybody knows it by now. If I say upside down tree, everybody is closing their ears. I don't want to hear it anymore. But for my own revision, I'm going to recap it quickly. So the tree starts with one root. Like we start from God. And then the tree grows, like we grow. And the tree develops so many branches, just like we develop so many gunas and vasanas. And eventually we get attached to this material world, and some of the gunas, we focus so much on that and we go down into that guna and we get deep rooted in that. The days go by and our vasanas in that one get stronger and stronger, and the branch grows so big. One day when the tree is grown, you don't know the difference between the actual root and the other root, because we are so deep rooted in the other gunas. All the roots look the same, all the branches look the same. You don't know which one is the original one. So the best thing to do is practice non-attachment and cut out all the other branches and root only on the God. And the leaves are compared to the Vedas, which is in the common man's term knowledge. When a tree has more leaves, it evaporates more water, and when the leaf evaporates more water, it's building more osmotic pressure for the root to pull more water from the ground, and it nourishes the tree. So as a common man, if we develop the knowledge that we have to be rooted strongly in the God, then He is going to help us live a healthy, happy life. That's my comparison for the Ashwatha tree. So it's a beautiful comparison. We wouldn't have imagined it, and maybe some poets can give so many examples on comparing this and that. It's beautiful to read, but do we actually follow it? Okay, I have to be rooted in God, and we read it and then we forget it and we go, right? But Chinmaya Mission is like another Las Vegas, Whatever happens here, it has to stay here. Not in Las Vegas, but in our mind. So whatever happens here, it has to stay inside us. So Krishna knows we all will read about the tree and forget about it. Maybe when we see the tree, we will, maybe try to relate. Hey, I read about that tree. But He has clearly given 5 things what we should do in day-to-day life. Okay. So that's what I am going to give as a takeaway from this chapter. So the 5 things. Free yourself from pride and delusion. Simple things, right? If you cook something, my recipe is better than hers. Oh, that didn't come out well. My saree is good, my jewelry is good. I got more score in the exam. Every simple thing we say, oh, I'm better, mine is better. It's always there. Somehow you are not able to come out of it. One thing what I would say is, don't talk about anything about yourself unless they are asked for. Hey, what is the recipe? Can you tell me? Okay, you tell. Don't go on. By automatically we go and say, hey, mine is the best. This is what I did. How many minutes did you take to complete that? I took this many. Voluntarily we go and ask questions and answer about ourselves. We don't wait for them to answer. So don't talk about yourself. Unless they are asked, don't talk about it. Even if you say something, just come to the point and stop right there. Don't go into the details to boast so much about yourself, blowing your own trumpet. So free from pride and delusion. Delusion is thinking that something is happening even though it's not happening. For example, one lady was always thinking that the cop is monitoring her. Even though she didn't do anything, she is just at home cooking, eating, sleeping. It's such a mental torture for yourself. Some ladies I know, if there is something coming up, they have to trim their eyebrows. They think the whole world is going to look at their eyebrows and nothing else. That's the torture. If the eyebrow is not done, she's so conscious that my eyebrow is not looking good. It might be a big puja going on, but the whole focus is on the eyebrows. I couldn't get to do the eyebrows. I should have done it. Her eyebrows was there. Such a mental torture. This is a simple example I'm giving, but So many things, we think that something is more important, but we are not focusing on the actual important thing. So give up the delusion and no pride. That's the first takeaway. After I finish, I'm going to ask questions. At least one of you should.
No, we are going to ask.
Yeah, you study, we ask.
If you have any questions on what I thought, you have to ask Vijay Kumarji.
By the by, after Ganapati ji finished his talk, many people asked him Vedantic questions. That's the greatness of it.
Yeah, already I am disclaimer. If you have questions, Guru is right here. So second one is compare attachment. It's easy to say than to do it. Compare attachment is usually, we people go ask, so I should not get attached to my son or daughter. Should I hate them? No, that is not the attachment. You have to do your duty as a mother or a father. You have to feed them, give them clothes, education, Don't go into the nitty-gritty details and, we are torturing them and us. So just leave them alone. And the other attachment, the main attachment that is said in Bhagavad Gita is with the sense objects. Indulging too much on the food, if you like watching TV, too much TV, even news, you don't have to, read the news again and again, 24 hours, all the channels covered, no. So, conquer attachment is meaning conquering your sense objects, your senses. Think of the self. You need to think about yourself. Yourself doesn't mean, getting dressed up, buying things for your internal self. The goal is to improve your internal knowledge and health, and you need to always think that we need to think about God. That should be the thought. That doesn't mean you should not work, or if you are a doctor, don't do the surgery, just think about God. No, you have to do your worldly things, but still, in the background, you should always know that we need to be thinking about the self. The fourth one and the most important one is the intellect control. Once you control that, that's it, your life is going to be good. The prayer should be to give, as Swamiji says when we get prasad, brilliant intellect, healthy body, pure mind, brilliant intellect. Brilliant intellect is what is going to guide us in our life. When we are born, the soul enters the body and it has, just for imagination, it has a microprocessor. It comes with us. So whatever we do is recorded in that. When the soul leaves the body, the microprocessor is going with it, which has the old account too. So it's not going anywhere. So why everything is done by God and everything is God? Why should I be worried even if I do good or bad things? If He has written all the pages in my life, does it matter if I do something bad? It does matter, because most of the pages He has written as you wish and so be it. That's why He has given you an intellect, and that is the test you are being tested on. So that page, when it hits that as you wish and you are taking a bad decision, it's going to be recorded in your chip, and it's going to carry through different janmas. So pray for a good intellect. It's going to be hard. Every action you do, you need to think whether it's a bad, or good, bad. Don't think of it as a burden to do this, like when am I going to be thinking it's bad, good, it's a bad, good, then you will go crazy. So slowly start practicing, and once you get into the habit of it, you are going to definitely know whether it's bad or good. And then if you are in a dilemma, one of my teachers used to say, if you are really thinking whether it's bad or good, it's definitely bad. Because if it's good, your consciousness is not going to stop you at all, or it's not going to make you even think if it's good. It's your natural self to do good things. So if you're really thinking too much, it's going to be bad. And the fifth one is release yourself from the pairs of opposites. When we think we are suffering, or when we go through some painful thing in our life, we always seek pleasure. Always stuck in between this pain and pleasure, and we know pleasure is the good thing, so we go behind it so much. Pain is also teaching us something. That doesn't mean we have to invite pain to ourselves. But if there is a pain, focus on God and try to come out of it. He's going to definitely help us out of it. Doesn't mean you have to go behind pleasure and go to Las Vegas. Hey, I had this tough time in my life, I am going to enjoy. You don't have to be stuck in between two pairs of opposites. So, those are the 5 takeaways from chapter 15, from whatever I read and whatever I understood. And one more thing, I know time is running. The 15th chapter, God also says He is everything, we know that. He is inside our body as a soul, and He is the all forms of energy, of course everybody knows it. So He is the one who is digesting our food and eliminating what is not needed. In India and also here, I think lots of acharyas and swamijis, before taking food, they chant 15th chapter. And it is the shortest one too, just 20 shlokas of all the chapters. So He is inside us as the energy who drives us. So just Brahmarpanam we chant, but if you have time on a Sunday when you can chant the whole chapter 20 verses before food, it's a good thing to do. So the takeaway are the 5 points and chanting Bhagavad Gita before lunch or taking any food. That's all. Can anybody say any one takeaway?
You have to chant 20 slokas
Before food.
before the rasam is done.
Before starting. The other 5.
I will not worry about my eyebrows, but others.
That's a good one.
Pay attention to yourself. Inner goal. Free from pride and delusion. Don't talk about yourself. Don't boast about yourself. Intellect control. That's one of the main things. Okay, I think nobody got the 5 points.
Free from attachment.
Free from attachment.
When
Okay,
you say
thank
I
you.
becomes
we
there,
have
right?
to-
And you-
Yeah, release yourself from the pairs of opposites. Okay. Thank you for the opportunity, Vijay Kumar.
Yeah, she is a good- She is a good teacher. Thank you.
Hari Om, that was great. Well prepared, got all the points, full expansion of the goal.